So, in this video, I'm gonna go over part of the problem why orphans are being double dosed with the same medication the same hour. Orphans are being raped, beaten. Um, there was an orphan that needed dialysis every morning, and instead of working with him, they used to drag him by the feet across the floor to another room to give him his dialysis. Every room he would be flipping out, crying, "I don't want to go, I don't want to go, stop hurting me, I don't want to go." And they would just grab him by the feet, two step, and drag him away. And then we would all say, "Whoa, we don't want to be that kid." Getting, be dragged away every morning. Sometimes they would restrain him, grab each arm, and pull him into the dialysis room. Now, there are better ways to do that. You explain to him that it's necessary. When he starts flipping out, you give him a little bit of time. You move the dialysis an hour forward. There's a million ways to deal with an orphan that has to do with dialysis every day without dragging him across the floor by his feet, traumatizing the kid, forcing a medical treatment onto him. Yes, if they're keeping him alive with the dialysis and it's necessary, fine. And I'm just assuming it was day. We all knew it was a medical treatment. The staff used to tell us he's getting his medical treatments. He needs it every morning to stay alive, blah, blah, blah. I lived there for years. So every morning for a year, I watched this kid get restrained, grabbed by each arm, dragged across the floor. Most of the time, they would grab his legs from the bed because the kid would try to strap himself to the bed because sometimes you could see him pulling the blankets. They would grab me. This isn't funny, but this is literally what we're doing to orphans: is grabbing them by the feet and dragging them across a dirty floor. We're not talking about a couple feet. We're talking about dragging them the length of a football, well, half a football field. We're talking about dragging them out of our big giant 30 double stacked rooms. We got two kids, 30 rooms to, or actually, it was probably 14. It was more than 10, more than 12, less than 20. So probably 14 rooms, two kids to every room. And this extends. There's about 100 kids on every floor, but the floors are divided. And there's about 1,000 kids in the whole building together, but you got like 13-year-olds upstairs, you got 5-year-olds downstairs, you got a girl on one floor, girls floor, 5-year-olds, and then boys floor, 5-year-olds. And it's not just 5-year-olds, it's like 5 to 7, 7 to 9, 9, whatever, like that. So this kid's getting dragged for a medical treatment that's traumatizing him. Not only that, I'll tell you a little bit about one of my experiences in this orphanage. I went to breakfast one day. I was woken up, did everything I was supposed to, did everything I was told. I made my bed, waited standing up like a soldier, saluting at my front door, waiting for staff to call me and do their count. I watched the other kid get dragged for his dialysis, screaming during count, "Please stop hurting me, please stop hurting me. I don't want to go right now, I don't want to go right now." Every morning, he gets dragged out. We go to breakfast. I sit down. I eat my powdered eggs. They give me a glass of orange juice. There's ketchup on the table. I have another 5-year-old next to me. I'm eating my scrambled eggs. He smiles, grabs the ketchup, puts some ketchup in my orange juice, and says, "Ha ha." And I'm like, "Okay." And I continue. He's like, "You're not mad?" And I'm like, "No, or whatever," just eating my eggs. At this point, he goes, "Well, watch this." Now, this 5-year-old next to me is mad that I didn't get mad. So now he's going, "Watch this." Gets out of the chair, goes up to some staff member, says something to the staff member. Then they move him away to go wherever he got to go. So the staff member comes up behind me, taps me on the shoulder, and goes, "Zach, did you take your meds?" I say, "Of course I did. You were there. I took my meds. I took that amphetamines you're feeding to all the children. Yeah, I know you got 1,000 kids and one psychiatrist, and I hear you guys over talking about how the psychiatrist takes up most of the budget. You hear this all the time. You don't think kids are listening, but kids listen. They do." So anyways, so I took my Ritalin. I took it. I took the other Flintstone vitamin or the other pill you guys gave me, and I go back to turn to my eggs and eat it. Then the staff member goes, "Well, we're not so sure. Let me bring you." And I say, "No, no, no, that's ketchup," because the staff member does ask what's in the orange juice, and I tell him Billy or whatever the kid's name put ketchup in the orange juice. So then they say, "Well, we got to bring you to the nurse." So they bring me to the nurse, and the nurse goes through this whole thing. "Did you take your meds?" I say, "Yes." They go, "Well, Billy, this other kid says you didn't. Why is he saying that?" I go, Well, probably because he put ketchup in my orange juice. They said, oh, he put ketchup in your orange juice? I said, yes. They said, can you go check if there's ketchup in Zach's orange juice? Oh, we threw it away. We threw the whatever that was away. It's gone. Well, sorry, Zach. We think that red stuff on the bottom of your glass was your medication, so we're going to have to dose you. I already took my meds. Couldn't that hurt? Zach, we don't know, but sorry about this. We're going to have to give you your meds. Are you going to take them willingly? I already took my meds willingly. Hold him down. He's not going to take them willingly. Get him down on the floor. Yes. Get the syringe ready. Get the medication ready. Force it down his throat. Some programs force it down your throat, while other ones get a syringe ready and force it into your body through a syringe. So, anyways, they force me onto the ground. They're doing all this stuff to me, and then afterwards I feel terrible. I feel terrible because I've taken a double dose of amphetamines on the word of a 5-year-old who wanted to play a game. Now, how can we prevent all this trauma? How can we prevent kids from getting hurt by double doses of medication? How can we do this? I mean, we have, and that's only two examples. There are so much worse. There are like rapings, like for instance, like I experienced staff members allowing a dangerous kid to wander around, going into other kids' rooms, raping them. And after the staff members were told about it, the kid continued and the staff did nothing. There was also a little girl that they found. Now, this was this was when I was real young. There was a 13-year-old girl that they found a condom and she was crying next to the bed. What ended up happening is one of the boys snuck onto the side and raped her and had sex with her. But not only that, he came back to do it a couple more times. Now, the staff member knew it was this guy named Henry, this kid who didn't talk. He was just kind of spacey. He never talked. But anyways, this kid ended up going into this little girl's room, blonde girl. There was a brunette blonde girl. The brunette was the one who actually told the whole story because the blonde didn't want to talk about it. But anyways, we were all questioned, all the boys, we all talked about it. And then at breakfast, when we got to see the girl, we asked her what was going on. She told us. We said, oh shit. Henry got locked up or moved out of there. The blonde got to go home. And that's the type of supervision we got. They literally know one of the boys are having sex with this girl, but yet they don't monitor the door and they let it continue. Now, once again, in these orphanages and treatment centers where you're being held down, like for instance, in another treatment center, I was in there because I held a match to some slug slime, seeing if slug slime would be a good fire repellent. I wanted to make a fireproof jacket. I was thinking slug slime would do that somehow because I'm only 12. So I tried to light some matches. They weren't really lighting. I wasn't good at lighting matches at this time. I never could get them to light. But I finally got one to light. I held it to the slug slime. The match went out. But it kind of like bubbled. It didn't seem like it was fireproof. So I gave up and I went inside, told my father what I was doing. Now, my mother spun another fantasy. My mother loves spinning fantasies, don't forget that. I won a swimming medal in that orphanage, and my mother had me drugged, put on medicine, called me a liar, called me a thief for my whole life. Literally, at 7 years old, I show my mother my swimming medal, and she turned so many things into I'm a liar, I'm a thief, he's a liar, he's a thief, he has attachment disorder. He's trying to get back at me by putting G on the back of this medal. I know he's an evil kid trying to get back at me. Yes, he is. Coming up with fantasies, then going to psychiatrists saying, I want him on medication. He has attachment disorder. He has bipolar. He has all this stuff. He has ADHD. I know he has it. We want this med, and we want Zyprexa, and we want Thorazine, and we want all these meds. Give me 5 of them to give to him. And yes, I was on at least 5 at the age of 7. So anyways, we got all that going on, and at the age of 12, I'm in this treatment center, and I'm with a roommate, and I'm eating a candy cane. Now I have a lot of problems, so I eat my candy, just crush it and eat it. You can't really crush a lollipop with your teeth. So I just crush it, eat it, crush it, eat it. It's all, colorful, crush, whatever. And it gives this kid in my room the thought of cocaine. And he starts talking about cocaine. He starts going, oh, is that cocaine? I love cocaine. Oh yeah, let's talk about cocaine. All of a sudden I talked and I go, hey, what, do you want some cocaine or something? What? You think it's cool to talk about cocaine? We're in here. Where are you going to get cocaine? I start just being like, shut up. Stop talking about cocaine. I kind of give him a little bit of a ribbing about talking about cocaine like it's cool because I'm already past that point. I'm at 13 years old. I don't think cocaine is cool. I don't think drugs are cool. That comes back at the age of about 22 when I'm living in the woods, and then I see everybody dealing with cocaine. I still hate the fucking shit. But then it becomes something that's there. It's not something I want, but there's no way to avoid it. I'm living in the woods, I'm living on the streets. People are going to walk by me high as a kite if I like it or not. Unless I get an apartment, you don't get away from this type of shit. You're stuck in it. So, anyways, this roommate is feeling bad because I told him to stop talking about cocaine when I'm sure his mother and father told him too. I'm sure the program has told him. I'm sure everybody has told him this, so now he feels all upset. So he goes, "Uh-huh. This might even be the same kid from the orphanage. I don't know what they look like when they grew up. But a lot of these same people I ran into, I just didn't remember their names. Like Gabby, I ran into over and over. At the age of 11 and 12, we ran into each other. At the age of 14, we ran into each other. In middle school, we ran into each other. We ran into each other only for a brief minute. When I graduated high school and went to a work school program, she was getting thrown out. I was coming in. Then we ran into each other on the streets where she wasn't even from. So you run into a lot of these same orphans that go through the same system. We all get treated pretty badly. So, anyways, this orphan or whoever this kid is in my room decides to go into the fucking hallway, and I don't know what for. He just says, "Oh yeah, you think it's fun to make fun of me for talking about cocaine? I'm not making fun of you. I'm just telling you to stop talking about it. It's not cool. What do you think you're cool over there?" Goes into the hallway. This kid. The staff member, this lady who I know likes to hurt children. I've watched her now for years. The last time I was in the treatment center and this time I've watched her enjoy causing pain to children. Every chance she gets to strangle or inject the child, she's smiling and getting a thrill out of it. She loves punishing children. Now, what she doesn't like is trying to work with the children. Whenever the staff member tell her to work with the children, like do a class, help the children, she has this evil look, like she hates helping. And then she gets a big smile, big grin, big thrills out of the hurting the children. Dragging them across the floor, throwing them into a locked room, padded, whatever, injecting them with drugs, trying to strangle them with their own arms around the chest. I shouldn't say strangle. In the treatment centers, they did a lot of this stuff the right way. They would do it around your chest and then toss you to the ground, and then your head might smack across the ground or something. But in New Mexico, that hold, one guy named Toby used to strangle me. So whenever I get held by that position, I call it the strangle hold. Because Toby used to hold it across people's necks and make sure that their windpipe couldn't get oxygen into their lungs, so they would turn blue, pass out, and then throw them. So there was one guy that used to strangle people with this hold, and that's what I grew up with. So I call it the stranglehold. But in this later program, what my father thinks is acceptable for me doing a science experiment, they do it across the chest and throw you to the ground instead. If you're talking back, if you tell them like, "I don't want to take my meds," they'll strangle you, or so they'll use the strangle hold. What is, grab each hand, pull it across the chest, throw them on the floor. Now Toby liked to grab you by your hands, put it across your neck, pull your sockets out until your arms hit your neck, close your neck with your own arms so you couldn't breathe. So that was improper. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the evil woman that had fake blonde. Her hair was gray, and you could see that she put blonde in it. She was definitely getting thrills out of hurting children. But anyways, my roommate went to her, said something. Again, I don't know. I'm like age 12, 13. They don't tell me. The lady comes up. Now, this is the evil lady, the last lady you want asking you questions, but she comes up, and I'm being very nice. I'm not giving any attitude. I don't want to deal with this cunt, so I'm not. I'm just answering her question. She asked me a very simple question. Did I take my meds? And I say, yes. You guys saw me take my meds in front of you, which they did. They saw me swallow them, take the water. I didn't walk away with the cup. I didn't, I was talking the whole time. So it's not like I could cheek while having a conversation like that. So it's very obvious I did take my meds. But then she goes, "Oh, yeah? Well, we'll see about that. Hey, buddy, come over here and hold him down." So then she calls a man over to manhandle me. The guy manhandles me, and starts throwing me to the ground. She goes, "Get the meds ready, get the meds ready." And then she starts forcing another dose into me. Now, these are dangerous medicines. At this point, at the age of 12, 13, my mother has me on Seroquel, Thorazine, Trazodone, Zyprexa, Xanax, Ritalin or Adderall, and Wellbutrin. And that's, oh, and Risperidone and Lamictal. Those are the meds they're switching around from the age of 11 to about the age of 20. Those are the prescriptions most common that are being mixed around. But there's also lithium at a point, there's also Zyprexa at a point, there's a lot of other mixes around. So they give me about 3 medications twice, and then I'm like a drooling mess. I feel my heart beating weird, my mouth is drooling. When I tell the doctor, he goes, "No, no, no, we're going to write this down as you didn't take your medication." I said, "No, you guys just double dosed me." And I'm yelling at him and telling him to stop double dosing me, stop allowing people to hurt me, this could affect my health. And he doesn't care. These doctors aren't there to help me. No, they're there to help the other doctors. They're there to cripple us. We're orphans. I got the orphan label. So I'm allowed to be mistreated. I'm allowed to have stories made up about me. I'm allowed to be drugged on my mother's made up fantasies. I burned a slug with a match, but my mother wants to make it into I'm hurting animals and I'm lighting houses down. She wants to say I'm all this. Well, you know what happens when you make your son get naked in front of strangers and you got total strangers taking gloves and spreading his ass cheeks while he's naked? Do you know what happens when you have your son thrown to the ground, held down by strangers, injected with double doses of medications that make him feel sick and make his heart beat weird, cause him to drool, and then give him a headache? Then he tells the doctors about these things and they just make it worse. Then the mother makes up more stories about him. You know what happens? One of two things. Either your son becomes some big Jesus freak, or your son becomes some big serial killer that's out to get revenge. You don't harm somebody. That's like if you hooked up, let's say that your mother hooked up car batteries to your testicles every month and told you it would make you a strong man. Well, when you become 30 and you're on your own and you can't have children because your mother held a bunch of batteries to your testicles, you might not be happy about that. You might come to her house and hold a battery and say, "Let's see how your pussy likes this battery acid hookup." What? What, Mom? You said this made me a strong man. You're old now. Let's give you the battery treatment. Yeah, you gave me the battery treatment and said it would make me big and strong. You hooked up a car battery to my testicles and electrocuted me every month for 20 years. You said it made me big and strong. Well, now you're in your 60s and weak. We need to make you strong. Let's go get that car battery and hook it up to your privates. Let's make you big and strong. What? You don't want that? You're scared of that? Mom, why are you scared of me hooking up a car battery to you? You did it to me. Just like, why would my parents be scared of me treating them like my mother treated me? Why would that be a problem? Well, it's a problem because my mother was completely hurtful, crazy, and did a lot of damage to an orphan's body. If I did any of the things my mother did to me, to somebody else, I would go to jail. Absolutely. If I did even 100th of the things my mother and father did to me, I would go to jail. Do you know why? Because I'm not willing to traffic the child, cover up my mistakes, and spend a shitload of money trying to hide my mistakes. So I would go to jail. I don't have money to pick up my life, move to Texas, put the kid in New Mexico, then move everything to Chelmsford. I don't have the money to move my child to a doctor in Boston. I don't have the type of speaking skills. I also don't have the ability to keep people at bay with a lawyer. So, yes, my father can get away with these crimes. My mother can get away with these crimes. But me? Oh, fuck no. Not only that, let's say I did get away with the crimes. Let's say I did what my mother did to me to somebody else. Well, their brother, their father, their somebody would kill me. They would torture me. You can't drug somebody else's child. You can't torture them. You can't give them an overdose and leave them. Like if a babysitter, like let's say I babysit somebody's kid and I gave them some pills and they experienced an overdose. And I said, "Whoops, that's the wrong pill." And then I left him on a pile of newspapers. And then he woke up with brain damage or halfway dead. I would be going to jail. There's no way that I would get the same results that my mother and father got. But that's because my mother and father avoided responsibility. My father was lied to. Now, a key point in this to keep in mind is my father was willingly neglectful. That's his only crime. He believed so much bullshit that he knew wasn't true right in front of him. When things right in front of him were clearly red flagged, when his own wife was hitting his son with a ruler, she would just say, "It's okay," and he would say, "Okay." When my mother was saying that it's okay to give a child extra medication as a punishment, my father was over there going, "Yep, yep, that's right, that's right," because he didn't understand the question. He wasn't paying attention. He agreed with my mother that giving a child harmful medicine as a punishment, extra of it, might be a good idea. My father went along with that. But then, when my sister said, "Really, Dad?" and her husband, and then he goes, "What was the question? I don't understand. Why are you guys all going really?" Because Patricia, your wife, is acting crazy and you're going along with it again. That's why. Once again, your adopted son is going to get hurt because you're going along with somebody who's hurting your adopted son. You're letting your wife torture an orphan so that she doesn't hurt anybody else. If I wasn't there for my family, then my mother would have been a problem for everybody. But thanks to me being her little plaything, that never occurred. I was able to control her abuse, control her cycle by it just all coming to me. Every story she wanted to spin, most of them were about me. Any person she wanted to hit, she would just redirect it to me. If she's mad at Tim, she would just redirect the ruler to my face. If I was talking too much about her abuse, we'll just throw some more drugs in there and move him around. If that wasn't going on with me, that anger, that those pills, the crazy storytelling would have been directed at other people. She already tried to direct it at other people, but people really didn't like it too much, so she would redirect it to me because just about everybody by the time I was 12 would let her abuse me all they wanted. She wanted to slip me pills and I got sick on Halloween. Just leave him in a room with the person who made him sick. Don't bring him to the emergency room. He's ODing on the carpet. Don't bring him to the emergency room. He's falling down in front of fireworks while my father's trying to sell houses in a gunkwit. No, no, no. This is our vacation time. We won't bring him to the emergency room. He's bumping in the furniture and he can't move his nervous system properly at the age of 15 after doctors told my mother and father that this was a problem at age 7 and they decided to ignore those doctors and not listen. Nope, my mother's going to lie, call it self-harming, and then I don't get any medical care. Once again, they're going to avoid medical care. Now that I've talked about this, I do feel a lot better, but the next time it comes up on some person making up a story, and that's a big plot in a lot of shows I've noticed, because I get the PTSD memory every time I watch a movie and somebody's making up a story to frame somebody else. Like whenever you watch a movie and some cunt, some old lady says, "Ah, I gotcha. See, I told a story. I killed your father, yet I'm going to blame the murder on you. Not only that, I'm going to take over the throne and I'm going to give it to my son. I'm going to give the throne to my son. And on top of that, everybody's going to think that you killed your father, so everybody comes after you. And that's why we're going to send the space cops after you." Yes, the last thing I watched was something called Dark Matter season 1, episode 7 or something like that. At the end of it, or the beginning, I think it's episode 6, you got some old lady framing some boy, and it just reminds me of my mother making up stories. "Hey, this swimming medal means that he has attachment disorder. He's trying to get back at me. He's a liar. It's a thief. And this must be a black kid's medal because Zach is not athletic. So it must be the African American's medal that we know. Because we only know one African American that's athletic. So this must be his. Because that's the only other person in this house is an African American. Our son couldn't be winning swimming medals at the age of 5. No, he's too skinny and weak. No, no, no. This can't be his. Even though his name is on the back written in somebody else's handwriting, even though it has his old last name ZG, what means he definitely won it before he met us, even though our son is telling us that he won it in the orphanage, even though my son is crying saying, "Please give my medal back. It's mine, I want it, I want it." Instead, I'm going to make up fantasies, call him a liar for the rest of his life, call him a thief for the rest of his life, take away his accomplishment. On top of that, I'm going to get pills put into him by going to the doctors and spreading these fantasies, saying he has attachment disorder, depression, bipolar. Meanwhile, I give him drugs that makes him so tired that he's passing out on wooden benches in public, he's passing out in the car, he's sleeping and wanting to curl up on the floor during his adoption party. And then I'm going to tell everybody it's depression and make up stories. I'm going to leave out the context of I just gave him a pill. Not only that, that never happened again. My mother gives me pills. I get lethargic and tired. She tells people I'm really depressed, even though she leaves out the part that she just gave me pills. I'm only 7 years old, so I'm just curling up in a ball, sleeping in places, trying to stay awake. Meanwhile, my mother spins stories, leaving out the parts that she's giving me pills. Yeah, a great mother I had, huh? That's why I get to die before I'm the age of 40, because I had such a great mother and father. I mean, my father could just not make this happen. I mean, at any time, he can wake up in the morning and come clean with what he saw in front of him. At any time, he can call my phone. It's not like I banned him. It's not like I won't talk to him. Nope, I've said at any time, he can dial my phone, call me, and handle this. I've reached out for years. I've been really nice about it. I've been kind. I've taken all of his bullshit, all of his new wife's bullshit. I mean, I am literally bleeding my heart out with facts that my father knows happened, that the whole family knows happened. And then he's having his wife go, it's just a fantasy. No, 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 we're going to go on a cruise. No, 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 we can't handle this. I'm only asking you to make some phone calls. I'm only asking you to clean up your fucking mess after 25 years of making it worse. 25 years. If you handled it 25 years ago, we wouldn't be here. If we handled it 20 years ago, we wouldn't be here. If we handled it 15 years ago, we wouldn't be here. If he told the truth and talked to people honestly during the funeral, we wouldn't be here. If he didn't steal and lie about my Social Security, we wouldn't be here. There's a lot of things. If he did not decide to give me so much drugs, if he decided to keep an eye on his wife, if he decided to spend more time with his son watching the seizures, and actually, I mean, if I actually was not spending, like, for instance, in one of my seizures was in New Mexico. At the time, I didn't know it was called a seizure. I didn't know until about 23 that these were called seizures. All I knew is I would get my neurological disorder really bad. I would be shaking, my whole body would be spasming, and then I would fall and just go unconscious. If I was already sitting, I would kind of just go unconscious forward or to the side. And then I'd wake up and with no memory of what happened. Well, in New Mexico, we're out in the freezing fucking cold. I'm curled up by a tree. I'm shaking. I'm shaking. I'm trying to put my head. I'm having full body spasms. Then I go unconscious. Now, when I wake up, I am being woken up by a staff member telling me that all of the other kids went in 2 hours ago, and I've been out here the whole time. He brings me in. I have trouble walking. But do you think that report got to my father? I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, a black guy choking me didn't get to my father. Me getting food poisoning because a fridge broke didn't go to my father. All they knew was I was sick. They didn't know why. I mean, that's what happens when you only monitor your children for 18 months in a year and a half. Yes, 1 hour a month. That's all my father monitored. He let whatever happen happen. I get bit by a rattlesnake. I get raped by a black man. I get choked out with my arms. I get poisoned, whatever it is. My father doesn't care, even if he hears about it. No. He knew this going in. He knew there were dangerous rattlesnakes when he put me there. He knew there would be no supervision. He knew it was a cabin. He knew I was crying every month to let me go home, let me come home, this place is bad, let me come home, crying, crying, crying. Any other parent that heard that would very much know that there's something wrong. But no, these rich parents who just want to go on cruises and don't want any responsibility for their actions, those parents are willing to shell out $26,000 to have their kid sleep on the floor, get bit by rattlesnakes, get choked out by a big black man, and lose out on their education. And I'm not the only one. Just about the little girls I played with in that place, their father owned, I think she said 3 or 4 Radio Shacks and had over $1 million. That's what they all bragged about. Every single kid there came from an over wealthy family. All of them, the 13-year-olds, the young ones, even the Russian child came from a good family. Well, I should say wealthy family. Most of these families aren't good. Most of them won't even protect their child from danger. They won't even like try to help them. Some of them do. Some of them care about like the roof needs. You know, giving their son good food, making sure they have a future, making sure that their benefits are theirs, making sure they have their health when they grow up, making sure of all those things. Instead of trying to destroy their kids' health because they made a mistake like my mother did. It was very clear after I told the doctor that my mother gave me medicine and I experienced this reaction. As soon as I said that in the doctor's office, my mother went on, oh shit mode. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, we need to cover this up. Oh shit. And then as soon as my father said, well, I have a job offer in Texas, but I'm not going to take it. I don't want to go to Texas. My mother jumped on, no, we need to go. We need to go to Texas. Yes, we do. Of course she did. That was her way out. She saw that as a miracle. She said, ah, here it is. Here's the devil giving me a way out. And it worked. Of course it works. It's called trafficking. Everybody knows what trafficking is. You commit a crime and then you move before the crime catches up with you. You move to another state. Like if you're selling women or if you're selling drugs and you're about to get caught by going to, or here's a better one. Let's say you owe child support in Florida, 20 grand in child support. Well, you can always just move to Massachusetts. You'll never have to pay a dime. Not even kidding. If you owe child support in Florida and you decide to move to Massachusetts, they will not deport you, even if you get arrested. Even if the police stop you and check your ID, they will not. It will come up that you owe a warrant and they want you in the courts in Florida, but they won't do anything about it. That's Florida. That's Florida issue. Don't go back to Florida. If you go back to Florida, you have to pay child support. If you don't, you can just live in Massachusetts while your child suffers. That's a terrible thing to do, but this is basically what my father did. He saw his responsibilities and he decided to move out of the responsibilities. The doctors, and my father didn't know he was doing this, by the way. I'm sorry to say this. Now he does. Now that I've been talking to him for 11 years about it and mentioning it after he saw my mother pop pills, after he's seen my mother die, after he's seen me get hurt, after he's seen me fall, he knows something's wrong here. He knows. He even collected disability in my name. He already claimed that I was disabled. Now he's claiming I'm not disabled. I'm just psycho. I'm just making up fantasies. That's his way out, he thinks. Calling me a psycho and telling, oh, all this is made up. That teacher that came up to you, you're making that up. You know, the people coming up to your funeral and telling you that never happened. The overdose, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, Dad, why don't you drive me to the doctors? I don't know their names. We're not going to go looking for names. I don't want to hear it. It's all a fantasy. I'm not wasting my time with fantasies. Get away from me. No, no, no. Go die in the woods someplace. Yep, that's my father's attitude until hopefully one day he'll have a change of heart, follow Jesus, give me a call, and I'm here to work with him. But if I go off the grid again, I don't know what will happen. Most likely death for me. But I'm definitely not going to take it sitting down, I tell you that. There's a lot of people responsible, and they need to learn a lesson before I die. Once when I'm dead, whatever. But they need to know why. I need to make sure that we don't have people telling stories and making up fantasies at my funeral going, well, Zach died of the freezing cold because he didn't want to work a job. That's why. Zach died of hypothermia and of being out in the woods because he didn't want to go to a shelter. It's all his fault he's dead because he did this to himself. Meanwhile, I can't use the shelter because my father has not reported my disabilities and the shelter sees my disabilities when I go. So they won't let me stay until my disabilities are documented because they have to continuously call an ambulance and send me out and then they won't let me back in. On top of this, the reason why I don't have Social Security to pay for my apartment, what I worked very hard to get, and I was planning on moving to a cleaner apartment without mold, but all that got crushed down. Not only because I'm disabled, but also because I can't collect Social Security because my father already collected in my name, and that Social Security case is not based on any real world events. Most of the disabilities he mentioned there are fantasies my mother spun to doctors to get Social Security. Like, for instance, my bipolar and depression and suicidal thoughts, all magically appeared after my mother was giving me bedtime meds. So my suicidal thoughts, I'm taking 3 medications that have that exactly on the paperwork. If your son exhibits suicidal thoughts, please call a doctor right away. This medication might cause suicidal thoughts in children and adults, blah, blah, blah. 3 medications say that I'm taking this night. 3. So I take the medication. I'm already sad that I did something wrong. I take the pills. An hour later, I take a couple aspirin, and I tell my father, I think I'm having suicidal thoughts. I just took 5 aspirin trying to kill myself. I don't know what's going on. So they bring me to the emergency room. They give me the full treatment. Do you think my mother takes me off those dangerous medications? No, she doubles up the medications, making those symptoms worse, and she tries to act like these symptoms are during the day all the time, even though the only time I actually said these things were during this. Now, my mother might have brought up some of this other bullshit, like the spin that she spun about the mushrooms. She spun and did so many things to me at the age of 5. She would come in there like a cannonball, putting words in my mouth. Yes, I did say stuff wrong like any other kid. I was learning. Like, for instance, I told my mother I was not trying to kill myself by eating a mushroom that I thought was like the mushroom on pizza. I told my mother that I thought that mushroom was like the mushroom on pizza. I'm not trying to kill myself. I thought that mushroom was the mushroom on the pizza. But because I repeated something another adult said, my mother came in there shoving words in my mouth. No, no, no. I don't care how many times you tell me you're not trying to kill yourself. I don't care how many times you tell me that it's like a mushroom on the pizza. You were trying to commit suicide. You told that to Seth. That you are. You're trying to commit suicide. Yes, you are. You're trying to commit suicide. Yes, you are. You're trying to commit suicide. Yes, you are. That's my mother. That's how she acted. She'd come up to a child and say that in his face over and over. Well, I cry and say, I'm not trying to kill myself. I just ate a mushroom. I said that. I don't know why. I don't know why I said that. I'll tell you why now that I reflect. So I'll tell you the situation. I'm out playing in a yard full of all these different colorful mushrooms. I go to pick a red one, and a 20-something-year-old or some guy goes, what are you trying to do, commit suicide? At that point, I stop and I go back inside. I'm playing. The next week later, I'm playing with my younger nephew. My nephew is like 3 years younger than me. I see the red mushroom. It looks yummy again. I take one little bite of the corner. At this point, my nephew asks what I'm doing, and I think I don't have a name for this. I don't know what to call it. Mushrooms on pizza? What do you call this? So I repeat, wait a minute. Somebody said this is called suicide. So I say, it's called suicide. I'm doing suicide. At this point, he goes inside, tells my parents. Now, my mother asked me if I'm trying to commit suicide, and I say, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know that concept. Did you tell Seth that? I go, no, I did. Seth, what? He goes, are you trying to kill yourself? Oh, no, I didn't tell Seth I was trying to kill myself. I'm not trying to kill myself. No, I'm not trying to kill myself. Well, you said suicide, right? Well, I don't know what that means. I'm not trying to kill. I thought it was like a pizza. It's like a pizza, whatever that means. I was trying to do the pizza thing, like you eat it. You put the mushroom. It's a mushroom on pizza. You eat it, right? I'm not trying to kill myself. I tell them over and over. And you know what my mother's doing? She's saying, no, 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 Seth, a 3-year-old, said you're trying to commit suicide. While in my face, while over me, I'm back down on the floor crying, and she's in my face going, no, 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 you try to commit suicide. Admit it. Say you're trying to commit suicide. Say it. Say you were trying to commit suicide. You know, I'm bringing you in the bathroom. Yeah, I'm on the phone. They said to give you Epicac. I'm going to give you Epicac because I know you're trying to commit suicide. I know you are. And I say, no, I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not. I just didn't know what the word meant. I don't know. I didn't say that. That's not what I said. I didn't say I was trying to kill myself. I didn't say I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not. That wasn't even a thought in my head. I didn't even understand I'm just trying to, mushroom, red, pretty, I eat. Then somebody asked me a question. I give an honest answer. Seth asked me what I'm doing. According to an older adult, this is called suicide. But I don't know what the fucking word means. But you asked me if I'm trying to kill myself. I understand the word kill at the age of 5. I understand or 7. I understand the word myself. So I give an honest answer. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing it like a pizza. I'm eating it like a pizza, meaning I'm eating. I thought you could eat it. And I just repeated what an adult said. But no matter how many times I tell that to my mother at 7 years old, no matter how many times I say, I'm not trying to kill myself, my mother comes in there putting word, no, yes you are, you're trying to commit suicide. You said it the steps, so you must be doing it. You're suicidal at the age of 5. You're a suicidal kid. I know you are. You admit it. We need you on drugs. You drag you into the bathroom. Yes, yes. You know what? I'm going to give you extra medicine. Yes, we're giving you the whole cup of Epicac. See this whole cup? Yeah, you hear that, Dad? You hear that, Seth? I'm giving him the whole cup. I'm giving him extra Epicac. Yeah, you're going to take this whole cup of Epicac. You're going to drink it all down, and you're going to like it if you don't, and you're going to stay in here until you finish the whole cup, and I'm going to watch you drink that whole cup of extra Epicac. And if you want to know why I'm giving you extra Epicac, it's because of a punishment. I'm punishing you. I don't ever want to hear words like that again. I think you said suicide, that you're trying to commit suicide, so I'm going to give you extra Epicac as a punishment. So then she forces me to drink the full cup of Epicac, an entire bottle, 7 ounces of pure, thick, gritty Epicac. This stuff looks thick, thick, thick. At this point, well, not super thick, like cough syrup, but still thicker than water. At this point, I'm puking, and I only have like 1 ounce at the bottom, but I'm puking so severely I can't finish the cup. But she's out of the room, so I just pour it with the puke. I can't even hold my hands straight. I'm puking, puking, puking. And I get damage to my esophagus and stomach. My stomach doesn't seem to ever really work right again after drinking that much Epicac, but the pills didn't help either. Because after this, my mother decided to drug me some more, drug me some more. And this was pretty traumatic for me and my nephew as well. You could have just given me 1 extra dose of Epicac and you could have acted calm and asked questions. But every time I gave an honest answer, my mother just went into fantasy land. No, 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 I don't care what you say out of your... See, that's the problem. My mother used to say that a lot. I don't care what you say, this is the fact. I don't care what you witnesses say, Zach is not that. I'll give you another example. I jumped into a pool, okay? And my foot got caught on a fence and it sliced open my foot so deep that I needed 2 stitches of layer and it almost hit the tendon. Now, because of my neurological disorder, I didn't even notice I was cut. I didn't feel a thing. But my nephew did. All the witnesses near the pool, because there was like 5 people there, did see it. So they tell me that I should take a look. So I get out of the pool and I take a look and go, it's not that bad. I'll keep swimming. But then it gushes blood like a freaking fountain, and I start losing blood like by the pint. So I got to get a duct tape rag. I got to be rushed, and then we got to start getting me to the emergency room. But you know what my mother's saying? He did that on purpose. He took a knife and sliced himself on purpose. It's self-harming. We need him on more pills. We need him on more pills. It's self-harming. Then I say, Mom, I didn't do this to myself. It's at the fence. It was an accident. I didn't try to take a knife and slice myself. What's wrong with you, Mom? And then she goes, yes, you did. I don't care what you say. Yes, I did. Then my father goes, honey, I don't think you're right on this one. She goes, I don't care what you said. He harmed himself. He did this on purpose. Then the other witnesses come forward. My brother and my nephew both tell her, no, Zach did not do this on purpose. His foot just caught on a fence. He didn't take no knives and start slicing his foot off. He didn't do anything like that. We don't know where you're getting this shit from. She goes, yes, he did. He's self-harming. He cut his foot on purpose. He cut his foot on purpose. He did this with a knife. He's self-harming. I know it is. And then, once again, people are just tired of her. And she just goes, fine, whatever, guys. And then they walk away. Then she gets up into my face, wags her finger, puts her nose in my nose and says, I don't care what they say. I still think you did it. Gets up in my face. And she goes, I don't care what they say. I still think you did it. And that's the problem with my mother. She used to make up fantasies, and she didn't care what the facts are. Still like my father right now. He still doesn't care what the facts are. He's still basing his information on a crazy woman screaming around. Like, let me ask, what really was going on with me when I was bumping into furniture? Because we know it's not self-harming. We know when I jumped in the pool, we know that all was my mother's fantasy. We know me jumping into a pool wasn't self-harming. We know me bumping into furniture isn't self-harming. We know this isn't self-harming. Well, Then what the fuck is it, Dad? What is a child from 7 years old to 31 having problems using their nervous system, using their legs, having seizures? What would you call that? I would call it a neurological disorder. And seeing as it started right after an overdose, my breathing slowed down, and I went unconscious, and I never felt this way a day in my life until that overdose, I would have to say that was the cause. But yet my father's not using any of the facts I'm mentioning here. My father's still in fantasy land. He's still on some cruise boat drunk, thinking that I'm over there chopping off my own foots and I'm some serial killer burning down houses and chopping off my own foots and fingers or something. Why? Because my mother just spun so many stories. Now, do I have any fingers missing? No. Do I have any feet missing? No. Have I ever burned down a house? No. Have I ever damaged anybody else's property burning it? No. I've damaged some of my own properties doing tricks for people. I've done damage to my own property, but I have never gone over lighting some house on fire or taking somebody's bureau and throwing out the window with a Molotov or anything crazy like that. I do campfires and experiments that move society forward. That's always what I wanted to do. But guess what? With all this going on, with my mother doing all this to me and my father doing all this shit to me, and you got orphanages needing people like me to work there, I can't get hired. The one person that came from an orphanage, I have the child's care in mind. I would never let a child take a double dose of medicine without seeing the medicine first because of what I went through. I worked for 4 years with disabled children. I'm also got plenty. I've fixed all my mental issues by not listening to my mother and not doing drugs anymore. I've been able to clear up any mental. So altogether, I'm about the best employee for the job working in St. Anne's orphanage. If you wanted an underpaid intern type person to work in an orphanage where nobody wants to work, I'm the prime candidate. There is nobody better. I was born in an orphanage. I was abused in an orphanage. I think about the child's care more than my own. I don't care about the money. I care about the safety of the children. I have experience working with disabled children that bit, pinched, did everything. With all that, I'm a prime candidate. But people like me never get into the field. Instead, you got nurses that like to hurt children working in these places. Why? Because they have money. They got a rich husband or something. You got a lot of these people who don't like their job, don't like children, but they do like hurting children working in these fields. I mean, just look at Toby in New Mexico. He was put on night staff because of his behaviors towards children. It's very clear that he is not good with children doing that much damage to them, trying to hunt black bears using the children as bait and stuff. That is wrong. My mother, how dare she do this to children? The way she used to treat children was wrong as well. Trying to give a child a double dose of medication, like give him 10 pills when he's only supposed to take 5, that's a big mistake right there. Don't be giving 10 pills to a child that's only supposed to take 5. But see, if you don't give a fuck and you like hurting children, like this woman did in Lowell Treatment Center, like my mother did occasionally, like Toby did, then these don't occur. So if you have a job working with children and you like hurting children, well, there's going to be a lot of hurt children. But if you have a job working with children and you're somebody like me that only cares about helping the people in need, like the orphans out there that are suffering greatly, like the orphans that are being dragged across the floor, needing dialysis, screaming for their mommy and daddy as every morning they get punished. No. Why don't we bring the dialysis to him? Why don't we get him up early and do it slowly? There has to be a better way to not traumatize that child. And if you don't have enough money and staff, then maybe it does have to be early. I would come in early. I would come in an hour early to help the kid with dialysis. Absolutely. If it's between dragging him across the floor to get his dialysis or his medical treatments, or getting up early, showing up early, and treating him like a special case, and then going back to do the regular job, I would do it. Absolutely. Even if they didn't pay me. Even if they said, well, you're not paid for the early hour. I could not watch somebody get double dosed with drugs against their will, which is illegal, then have a doctor lie about it so they don't get in trouble. I would definitely not like to see people dragged across the floor that need medical treatment screaming and getting traumatized. I certainly wouldn't have people responding to ketchup and orange juice with a double dose of medication. These are failures of people who do not care and do not think about the consequences of what they're doing to these children. Oh, well, if we give them a double dose, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, his organs shut down, he experiences heart failure, a bunch of different things. Well, what happens if we don't give him the dose? Well, nothing. He's a hyper and we have to do our jobs. Oh, so either the child is normal, like he was born hyper, or we give him a drug and he might have organ failure. Let me see. We don't know if he took it because we made a mistake cleaning up the table. He says that his person next to him put ketchup in the orange juice. He swears by it. He says you guys can check it, but we cleaned it up. Now, if we give him this double dose of medication, what is the risk? And if we don't give him the medication, what is the risk? Well, if we don't give it to him, nothing. There's no risk. There's no risk whatsoever to the child. But people might have to do their jobs for once. Oh, we can't have people doing their jobs. Oh my God. So let's give him the dose. Yeah, let's shut down his organs. If he didn't take it, he'll be fine. If he did take it, his organs or his health might be affected. But it's a lot better than doing our jobs because the child's hyper. I'm not even kidding. You got psychiatrists just popping out meds like nothing. They got like 300 kids and one psychiatrist eating up most of the budget of these orphanages. You need people like me to watch these children and then report back properly. People that actually give a fuck about these orphans because they were through it. People that were born in orphans probably are the best people to work in an orphanage because you were there when you were born. You remember what it's like and you remember what to do and not do. But these people don't get to work in those fields. Instead, we get totally hurtful people that just want to get a thrill out of their life. And that's wrong. We shouldn't have any old ladies hurting children for thrills. And I've already seen way too many.